Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never imagined a Monday night could feel like the exact moment my life split in two. I'm Owen, 39, and I've been married to Harper for nearly 12 years. I'm not the kind of guy who yells or makes a scene. I've always been calm, steady, reliable. The kind of husband who picks up the slack without being asked, who notices when things are off, who keeps his promises. For the first 6 years, Harper and I were inseparable. We laughed at the smallest jokes, planned weekend getaways on a whim, and even after long workdays, we'd text each other the tiniest flirty messages just to keep the spark alive. Life felt good, simple, normal. But life has a way of twisting the ordinary into something unrecognizable. Over the last few years, Harper changed in ways I couldn't quite name at first. It wasn't dramatic. No screaming matches, no obvious betrayals. But it was there in the subtle things. The way she'd sigh when I leaned in for a hug. The way she always seemed to be somewhere else while we were supposed to be together, scrolling endlessly through her phone. I tried to rationalize it, telling myself she was stressed from work, that maybe this was just the natural ebb of a long marriage. I kept being patient, hoping she'd come back to me. And then came last night. I texted her earlier in the day to ask if she wanted to have dinner together once I got home. Nothing unusual, just a simple, "Do you want to grab something later?" But her reply made my chest tighten instantly. "Don't call me tonight. We're doing a girls' movie marathon." First, I laughed it off. I've known Harper's group of friends for years. They loved their movie nights. I figured it was harmless. But something in the tone of her message felt off, almost dismissive. I should have felt the alarm then, but I didn't. I spent the evening going through some errands, half watching the clock, half distracted. Then, out of habit more than expectation, I checked the security feed we'd installed in our driveway months ago. I had no reason to check it, it wasn't suspicious. I just did. And there it was. Harper, smiling and chatting, stepping into a black BMW. A man I didn't recognize was holding the door open for her, leaning down to whisper something that made her laugh. My hands went numb. My heart felt like it had dropped into my stomach. My mind raced. Who is he? How long has this been going on? Why now? I sat back, letting the feed play out, forcing myself to see it in real time, like a slow-motion nightmare. Harper, who had been my everything, laughing in someone else's car. My years of patience, my silent compromises, my efforts to make her feel loved. It all suddenly felt meaningless. I didn't call her that night. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't cry even though I wanted to. I simply typed a reply to her original text, something that captured exactly what I felt. Enjoy the film. I hit send and sat there, staring at my phone as if I could read her reaction through the screen. I didn't have to wait long. Harper read it instantly. The typing bubble appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared again, paused. I could almost see the shock, the sudden realization that I knew, that she was caught in the truth, and that nothing she could say would change it. She didn't respond with anger or excuses, or the kind of flustered denial I'd sometimes expect when secrets come to light. There was a quiet, almost palpable surrender in her silence. It was over. In that single, wordless moment, I understood. This marriage, the years of trying to hold on, had ended. Not with shouting, not with fighting, but with a truth too obvious to ignore. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel sad exactly. I felt clarity, a strange, bitter kind of peace, because finally I wasn't blind anymore. I wasn't pretending. I wasn't holding on to someone who had quietly slipped out of my life, one unnoticed choice at a time. And yet, even with that clarity, the weight of the betrayal hit me like a slow-burning ache, threading through my chest and into my mind. I thought about all the moments that now felt tainted. All the nights I'd cooked dinner hoping she'd smile in appreciation. All the mornings I'd quietly fixed the leaky sink. All the small acts of care that she now shared with someone else. Someone I didn't know, someone she had chosen. Every gesture, every word, every shared joke now felt like it had been a rehearsal for this moment. The moment I saw her laughing in a car that wasn't mine. And yet, I didn't feel foolish. I didn't blame myself. I just accepted the facts, cold and sharp. The quiet clarity was both painful and liberating. I understood that no amount of pleading or reasoning would bring this back. The truth was visible, undeniable. Harper had chosen a different life tonight, and I had chosen to witness it honestly, without distortion. The next morning, the house felt emptier than usual. I woke up to silence, the kind that presses in on you, heavy and unmistakable. Harper's side of the bed was made, her scent gone, replaced by the lingering faintness of the night before. I made coffee, walked past the living room where the blankets were still scattered from our lazy Sunday, and realized just how much of my life had been lived in anticipation of someone who was no longer present in the ways that mattered. I didn't call her. I didn't text again. Every fiber of my being wanted to demand answers, to confront the obvious betrayal, to shake her and ask why she had chosen this. But I stopped myself, because I knew that the moment I allowed anger to dominate, I would have been pulled into her chaos, and I wasn't going to do that anymore. Not tonight, not ever again. Instead, I reviewed the footage again. Small details leapt out that I hadn't noticed the night before. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way he leaned just slightly too close, the casual way she laughed at something he said. It was subtle, almost mundane, but in those moments I saw the absence of me, the missing acknowledgement, the void where our years together should have been honored. By noon, I had made a decision. I wouldn't chase her. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't beg for what had already left. I packed a small bag with some essentials, put on my jacket, and left the house for a long drive with no destination. The streets blurred past, but my mind stayed sharp, cataloging every memory, every gesture, every night of effort that had gone into this marriage. It wasn't resentment that drove me, it was understanding. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt free from the cloud of denial I'd been living under. Later that afternoon, I received a text from one of Harper's friends, Mia, curious and almost giddy. "Hey Owen, she's heading out for another girls' night. You guys okay?" I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Everything had already been said, in the quiet of the previous night, in the security footage, in my single-line reply, "Enjoy the film." I knew she had understood instantly that the game was over, that the rules had changed, that I wasn't a passive participant anymore. Over the next few days, I noticed small things. The way mutual friends began acting differently, the subtle avoidance in conversations, the faint attempts at casual check-ins from Harper that were carefully measured. I let it all pass. I didn't engage. I simply lived in the clarity I had claimed. At night, I reflected on the years we had shared. The laughter, the late-night drives, the quiet mornings over coffee. All the moments I had cherished. They were real and I would carry them, but they no longer dictated my present. I realized that love, even when deep and true, cannot survive if one side quietly withdraws. And acceptance is not surrender. It is the recognition that your own peace matters more than someone else's disloyalty. By the end of the week, I felt a sense of calm I hadn't experienced in a long time. The betrayal still stung, of course. It would take months for the ache to soften, to reshape itself into memory rather than pain. But the anger had faded, replaced by a sharp, clear understanding. I had done everything I could, with honesty, with loyalty, and with integrity. And when that was no longer enough for her, it was not a reflection of my worth, it was a reflection of her choices. The night I finally confronted the emptiness directly, I didn't look for Harper, didn't search for signs of her return. I sat in my living room, lights dimmed, a quiet playlist on, and let myself feel the freedom that came from not needing her validation. The realization hit me fully. The man in the black BMW didn't scare me. The betrayal didn't break me. What would have broken me is if I had continued pretending everything was fine. If I had allowed myself to shrink into a shadow of a man desperate for love where there was none. By Sunday, I had booked a small trip for myself. A few nights in the countryside. No plans, no obligations, just space to breathe and rebuild. I sent Harper one final message, brief, calm, devoid of malice. Take care. No explanations, no accusations. Just clarity, just finality. And in that moment, I felt the shift inside me. The knowledge that my life would continue, stronger and freer, no matter the choices she made. I realized that betrayal doesn't always come with fireworks, or screaming matches, or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes, it comes quietly, with a smile and a wave, and the only proper response is clarity, dignity, and walking forward. Weeks later, friends and family began asking questions. Some expressed concern, others offered advice. A few tried to rationalize her actions. I listened politely but didn't argue. My life had shifted, not because of her choices but because of mine. I chose honesty, integrity, and self-respect over denial and frustration. And in that choice, I found a strange sort of liberation. I don't know if Harper regrets anything, or if she'll ever look back. That's not my concern anymore. What matters is that I saw the truth, faced it without panic, and made a decision that preserved my dignity. The man in the black BMW was only a symbol. The reality was far more powerful. I had finally claimed my own life back, without resentment, without excuses, without hesitation. And that, I realized, was the most cinematic ending of all.